What if I told you that walking away isn't the ultimate power move? That there's something far more calculated, far more ruthless, something that doesn't just leave them wondering where you went, but makes them feel your presence long after you're gone. Most people think that the strongest move is to cut someone off and disappear. But the truth is, silence, distance and detachment aren't about absence, they're about control. The real power isn't in leaving. It's in making them feel your absence even when you're still in the room. It's in controlling the emotional battlefield without ever lifting a finger. Imagine this. They expected you to react, to chase, to explain yourself. They thought they had the upper hand. But instead of playing their game, you do something they never saw coming. You stop giving them what they crave most. Your energy, your attention, your validation. You don't disappear. No, that would be too easy. You remain exactly where you are, but you become untouchable, unshakable, like a storm that never arrives, yet leaves destruction in its wake. This is the most ruthless Stoic power move, and once you master it, you'll never chase, explain, or justify yourself again. This video isn't about petty mind games or cheap tactics. It's about true dominance through self-mastery, a power so effortless that people will be drawn to you, desperate to understand why they can't affect you anymore. Once you grasp this, you'll never have to wonder how to make someone regret taking you for granted. They'll do it on their own, haunted by the realization that they lost something truly rare. Someone they can't manipulate, someone who refuses to be controlled. So if you're tired of feeling powerless, if you want to reclaim control without ever lowering yourself to their level, then stay with me. In this video, I'm going to break down 8 ruthless Stoic power moves that will shift the entire dynamic in your favor. Moves so powerful that once you use them, there's no turning back. Are you ready to unlock a level of control that most people will never achieve? Then let's get into it. And before we dive in, if you find value in this kind of content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more Stoic wisdom, and drop a comment below. Tell me which of these power moves resonates with you the most. Let's build a community of unshakable, high-value individuals who command respect effortlessly. Now let's begin. 1. Master the art of indifference. They say the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And if you truly want to command power in any situation, you must master this art with absolute precision. Most people make the mistake of thinking that reacting, whether with anger, frustration, or even sadness, shows strength. But the moment you react, you reveal something crucial. They still have control over you. Your emotions are a leash, and the second you respond, you hand them the power to pull it. Now, imagine this. Someone tries to push your buttons. They expect a reaction. Maybe they ignore your text, flirt with someone else in front of you, or throw a passive-aggressive comment your way. They're fishing for your attention, for proof that they still matter. But instead of giving them what they want, you do something that terrifies them. You give them nothing. No anger, no frustration, not even the satisfaction of knowing that their actions affected you. You remain unmoved, untouchable, like a mountain in the face of a storm. That's when the fear sets in. Because when someone realizes they no longer have control over your emotions, panic creeps in. They start questioning their own importance in your life. Did they miscalculate? Did they overplay their hand? Why aren't you reacting? Suddenly the power dynamic shifts. Instead of you seeking their validation, they begin chasing yours. They replay their actions, wondering if they went too far. And that's when it dawns on them. You've outgrown their ability to affect you. You are no longer a player in their game. Indifference is a silent weapon. It doesn't announce itself. It simply makes its presence known through the void it creates. When you stop reacting, stop explaining, and stop trying to prove yourself, people feel the loss of your energy like a withdrawal from an addiction. They start craving what they once took for granted, but by the time they realize it, it's too late, because you've already moved beyond their reach. This isn't about playing hard to get or faking disinterest. It's about genuine detachment. It's about realizing your worth to the point where nothing external can shake you. When you master indifference, you become something rare, a person who cannot be controlled, manipulated, or emotionally swayed. And that is what makes you truly powerful. Now ask yourself, are you ready to be that person? Are you ready to stop reacting and start commanding the room without saying a word? If so, congratulations, you've just taken your first step toward true, ruthless, stoic power. 2. Control the flow of attention. Attention is power, and the moment you start giving it away freely, you lose control. Most people don't realize this. They think being overly available, constantly engaging or responding instantly makes them more valuable. But in reality, it does the opposite. When your attention is predictable and always accessible, it becomes worthless. Now imagine this. Someone is used to you always being there, always reacting, always giving them exactly what they expect. They know that the second they text, you'll reply. The second they post something, you'll notice. The second they create drama, you'll engage. But then one day, everything changes. You stop feeding the cycle. Your attention is no longer guaranteed. It becomes scarce, controlled, deliberate. Suddenly, they feel the shift, and that's when the panic sets in, because human nature is predictable. We crave what we can't easily have. The moment you make your attention something rare, something earned instead of given away, people start to chase it. They wonder why you're not engaging the way you used to. They question whether they still have your interest. They become obsessed with getting it back. This is how you control the flow of attention. You dictate who gets it, when they get it, and how much they get. You become the one who decides when the conversation happens, when the energy is given, when the focus shifts. And in doing so, you create an undeniable aura of power. Think about the most magnetic, high-value individuals you've ever encountered. Are they constantly seeking validation? Are they always available? Number. They are selective. They don't react instantly. They make others feel that their time and energy are privileges, not entitlements. Now, let's take this even further. Imagine someone who tried to manipulate you, take you for granted, or play games. Normally, you'd be tempted to call them out, argue, or demand answers. But instead, you do something far more powerful. You shift your attention elsewhere. You start focusing on yourself, your goals, your passions. You engage with people who actually respect your energy. And you do it all without explanation, without warning, without hesitation. This is when they start to feel the loss. They realize your attention was something valuable all along. They regret mistaking your availability for desperation. They start chasing, trying to reclaim what they once had so easily. But by then, you've already moved on to a higher level. A level where only those who truly respect and value your presence get access to your time. So ask yourself, are you in control of your attention, or are you handing it out to people who don't deserve it? The moment you learn to regulate it, you'll see the shift. You'll stop feeling powerless, and instead, you'll become the one others seek, crave, and pursue. That is the power of mastering attention. Set unshakable boundaries. There's a moment in every interaction where the balance of power shifts, where one person subtly tests how far they can push, how much they can take, and how easily they can get away with things. The mistake most people make: they allow it. They let things slide. They justify bad behavior. They make excuses, thinking that just this once won't hurt. But every time you fail to enforce a boundary, you teach them that you have none. Now, imagine this. Someone keeps crossing the line, whether it's through disrespect, inconsistency, or manipulation. They expect you to tolerate it, to adjust, to bend. But instead of reacting with anger or pleading for change, you do something far more powerful. You enforce your boundaries with ruthless precision. No warnings, no explanations, just a silent, immediate consequence. And that's when it hits them. They miscalculated you. They thought you were like everyone else, someone who would tolerate their games, someone they could push just a little further each time. But instead, they find themselves locked out, cut off from your energy, your time, your presence. That's when the regret begins, because boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about commanding respect. The moment you show that you're willing to walk away, without hesitation, without negotiation, you become someone they can't control, someone they must work to keep in their life. And here's the most powerful part. True boundaries don't require words. They require actions. Telling someone to respect you is meaningless if you don't follow through. When you set an unshakable boundary, you're not asking for their permission to be treated well. You're demanding it without ever having to say a word. Think about the most powerful people in any social dynamic. Do they beg for respect? Do they explain themselves? Number. They set the standard and let people decide whether they measure up. So, what does this look like in action? When someone disrespects you, you remove your presence. No second chances. When someone plays games, you refuse to engage. No chasing, no pleading. When someone fails to meet your standards, you walk away calmly, as if they never mattered. And that last part, that's what shakes them the most. Because when you walk away without emotion, without anger, without hesitation, it sends a chilling message. You were never dependent on them. They were always replaceable. Most people fear setting boundaries because they're afraid of losing people. But here's the truth. Anyone who leaves because of your boundaries was never meant to stay. So ask yourself, are you setting the standard, or are you letting people set it for you? Because the moment you establish unshakable boundaries, everything changes. People start to respect you, not because you demand it, but because they have no choice, and that is real, ruthless, stoic power. 4. Silence over reaction. There is nothing more unsettling than silence. It's a weapon sharper than words, a force stronger than anger, and the most ruthless way to maintain power in any situation. The moment you react, whether in frustration, explanation, or defense, you reveal your emotional investment, and the second they know you're emotionally invested, they own you. But imagine this instead. Someone is testing you. They expect a reaction. Maybe they insult you, ignore you, or try to provoke you. They're waiting for you to get upset, to demand answers, to break your composure. They think they have control, but you don't give them what they want. Instead of reacting, you say nothing, no explanation, no rebuttal, no emotional outburst, just silence. And suddenly, they're the ones left with the discomfort. Because silence forces them to confront themselves. It creates an unbearable void, one that they desperately want to fill. They start overthinking, questioning their actions, wondering why you didn't respond the way they expected. Did they lose their hold over you? Did they push too far? Are you walking away without telling them? That uncertainty eats away at them. You see, most people are fueled by emotional exchanges. They rely on knowing where they stand with you. When you argue, they know you're still invested. When you get angry, they know they still affect you. But when you go silent, they lose all sense of control. And that is what makes silence the ultimate power move. Think about history's most powerful figures, the true leaders, the individuals who command respect without needing to demand it. Do they respond to every insult? Do they chase after those who disrespect them? Number. They let their silence speak louder than words. This isn't about avoidance or passive-aggressive behavior. This is about control. Knowing when to withhold your energy, your words, and your presence is the mark of true discipline. And when you master that, you become untouchable. Now, here's how you use this power move in your own life. When someone tries to provoke you, pause. Let their words hang in the air. Let them feel the weight of your silence. When someone disrespects you, don't argue. Disappear. Make them wonder why you stopped engaging. When someone expects a reaction, give them nothing. No validation, no emotional response, just the void of your absence. And that's when they realize their mistake. They come back. They try to reopen the conversation. They search for the energy you once gave them so freely. But by then, the power has already shifted. So ask yourself, are you reacting or are you controlling the silence? Because the moment you master this, you'll never be manipulated again. And that is what makes silence the most ruthless, stoic power move. 5. The power of unpredictability. Nothing weakens your presence more than being predictable. If people always know what you'll do, how you'll respond, or where they stand with you, they start taking you for granted. Predictability makes you ordinary, easy to control, and, worst of all, forgettable. But when you become unpredictable, when you refuse to follow the script they expect, you become something far more powerful, a mystery they can't figure out and can't ignore. Now picture this. Someone thinks they have you figured out. They assume you'll always be available, that you'll always reply, that you'll always care. They believe they understand your next move before you even make it. But then you switch it up. Suddenly, you don't react how they expect. You don't respond when they thought you would. You stop following the pattern they've grown comfortable with. And that's when they start feeling uneasy. People crave certainty. It makes them feel safe, in control, powerful. But when you take that certainty away, when you introduce unpredictability, they become anxious. They start questioning everything. Did they do something wrong? Have you lost interest? Are you slipping away? The more they think about it, the deeper they fall into the trap you've set. This is the power of unpredictability. It forces them to chase clarity, to seek you out, rather than assume you'll always be there. Think about the most magnetic people you've met. Were they the ones who did the same thing over and over, or were they the ones who kept you guessing, the ones who weren't easily figured out? That's what makes someone irresistible, not just in relationships, but in business, in friendships, in life. Here's how you master this move. Change your rhythm. If you always text back instantly, slow it down. If you usually engage in drama, disengage. If they expect you to beg for attention, pull away instead. Be unpredictable in your reactions. If they try to provoke you, stay calm. If they ignore you, act indifferent. Never give them the response they expect. Keep them guessing about your next move. One day, be warm and engaging. The next, be distant and focused on yourself. Make them earn your attention instead of assuming they'll always have it. And here's the most powerful part. Unpredictability forces investment. When someone can't figure you out, they think about you more. They analyze your actions. They crave your attention. They start putting in effort just to understand you. That's when you know you've won. Because the moment you stop being predictable, you become a presence they can't escape. They don't realize it at first, but slowly they start playing your game instead of you playing theirs. So ask yourself, are you easy to figure out? Or are you the kind of person they can never quite get a read on? Master unpredictability, and you'll become someone they never stop thinking about. 6. The strategic disappearance. Nothing shakes a person more than suddenly losing access to you. When someone thinks they have you figured out, when they assume you'll always be available, always responding, always engaging, they grow comfortable. They stop valuing your presence because they believe it's guaranteed. But the moment you disappear without warning, without explanation, without emotion, their entire perception of you shifts. And that's when the panic begins. Imagine this. Someone is used to you always being there. They've taken your energy for granted, assuming you'll always be within reach. They've tested your patience, played games, maybe even disrespected you, but instead of arguing, instead of pleading for them to change, you do something far more powerful. You vanish. No long goodbye, no dramatic exit, just silence. At first they don't notice. They assume you'll be back. They assume this is just temporary. But then days go by, maybe weeks, and suddenly they realize something terrifying. You're not coming back. That's when the questions start swirling in their mind. Did I lose them for good? Why haven't they reached out? Were they never as attached as I thought? And the more they think about it, the more they realize the truth. You were never dependent on them. The control they thought they had over you? Gone. The attention they took for granted? Withdrawn. Now, instead of you seeking them, they are the ones left wondering, chasing, regretting. This is the power of the strategic disappearance, a move that creates a vacuum so strong it forces the other person to feel your absence in a way that words never could. It makes them rethink everything. But here's the key. This isn't about playing childish games. This isn't about ghosting for no reason. This is about regaining your power. You disappear for one reason only, to remind them that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. To make them understand that if they don't value you when you're there, they'll learn the hard way what life feels like without you. Here's how you execute this move flawlessly. Stop responding. No explanation, no drawn-out conversations, just a cold, silent withdrawal. Shift your focus elsewhere. Instead of obsessing over them, pour your energy into yourself, your growth, your goals, your life. Return only on your terms. If and when you reappear, do so as if nothing happened. Let them realize that their world may have been shaken, but yours kept moving without them. And that realization, that's what destroys them. Because when they see that you didn't need them, that your life improved in their absence, they finally understand something powerful. Losing you was their greatest mistake. So ask yourself, are you making them feel your presence, or are you making them fear your absence? Master the strategic disappearance, and they'll never take you lightly again. 7. The art of indifference. Nothing is more powerful than a man who simply doesn't care. Think about it. What shakes people to their core? It's not anger. It's not confrontation. It's not begging, arguing, or even walking away dramatically. It's indifference. That cold, unshaken energy that tells them, without a single word, you do not matter as much as you think you do. And that terrifies them. Picture this. Someone expects you to react. Maybe they're testing your patience, playing hot and cold, trying to trigger your emotions just to see if they still have control. They assume you'll get frustrated, that you'll demand answers, that you'll prove your worth. But instead of chasing, instead of trying to fix things, you do something far more ruthless. You show complete indifference. You don't react. You don't get angry. You don't even care. And suddenly, they're the ones feeling uncomfortable. They expected to have power over your emotions, but instead, they're met with a void. They start asking themselves, why aren't they affected? Did I lose them? Were they never that interested in the first place? That mental spiral, that's where your power lies. See, Most people make the mistake of thinking power comes from proving themselves, explaining their worth, convincing someone to value them, chasing validation. But true power, it comes from the ability to walk away without a second thought. Because here's the brutal truth. The more you care, the weaker you look. When you argue, you look invested. When you chase, you look desperate. When you try to change someone's mind, you look powerless. But when you remain indifferent, when their actions don't shake you, when their presence or absence means nothing to you, that's when the power shifts. That's when they start chasing you. How to master the art of indifference. 1. Detach emotionally. Remind yourself, you are the prize. If they don't see your worth, it's their loss, not yours. 2. Never over-explain. If they try to provoke a reaction, give them nothing. No justifications, no long messages, just silence or a casual response. 3. Be unbothered. If they disappear, let them. If they try to make you jealous, laugh it off. If they play games, act like you barely noticed. 4. Keep your energy focused on you. The second you start prioritizing your goals, your peace, and your own success over someone else's validation, you become unstoppable. And that's the irony. The less you care, the more power you have. So ask yourself, are you the one chasing, or are you the one they're trying to figure out? Because the moment you master the art of indifference, you become the kind of man they can't forget, but will never control. 8. Controlled emotional withdrawal. The greatest power you can wield isn't in showing your emotions, it's in knowing when to withhold them. The moment you master the art of controlled emotional withdrawal, you hold the key to creating intense curiosity, respect, and a magnetic mystery that no one can resist. Imagine this. Someone thinks they understand you. They've seen your reactions. They know how you respond to situations. They feel they can predict your emotional triggers. But then, you do something that changes everything. You pull back, emotionally, without warning. You don't argue. You don't beg for attention. You simply withdraw your emotional investment and let them feel the shift. No explanation, no grand statement, just a sudden and strategic removal of the warmth, the attention, the effort you once gave so freely. At first, they don't notice. Maybe they think it's temporary, but then they begin to wonder. Why aren't you chasing? Why aren't you engaging? Why have you stopped showing interest in their drama? This is the power of emotional withdrawal. It forces them to question everything. They start looking inward. Did I do something wrong? Why are they no longer reaching out? Have they lost interest in me completely? And as they spiral into these questions, they become obsessed with finding the answers. But here's the brilliance of it. When you pull away emotionally, you're not just withholding your feelings, you're making them realize your worth. They now understand that they can't expect your energy unless they truly deserve it. When you are fully emotionally present for someone, they may take it for granted, assuming that your attention will always be there when they need it. But when you withdraw emotionally, you're giving them a powerful lesson. They have to earn your energy. This move is not about being cold, distant, or manipulative. It's about creating space for them to realize your value, to miss your presence, and to come to terms with the fact that you will not tolerate anything less than respect and commitment. How to execute emotional withdrawal. Stop engaging in draining conversations. If someone starts pulling you into drama or negativity, don't participate. Let them stew in their own mess while you stay silent. Shift your focus. Begin investing more in yourself. Pour your energy into your passions, your goals, and your growth. This emotional shift will create an undeniable contrast. Don't chase after them. If they pull away, don't chase them down. Let them wonder why you're no longer scrambling for their attention. Be consistent. Emotional withdrawal isn't a temporary game. It's a commitment to maintaining your own peace. If they can't handle your absence, that's on them, not you. And here's the most powerful result. When you finally reappear after your emotional withdrawal, you do so on your terms. They'll approach you with a newfound respect because they know that your energy is valuable and they must prove they are worthy of it. So ask yourself, are you giving your energy away too easily? Or are you strategically pulling back to show them just how valuable it really is? Master the controlled emotional withdrawal, and you'll become a force they can't forget and certainly can't take for granted. Conclusion: the power of stoic control. And there you have it. 8 of the most ruthless stoic power moves that will transform the way you navigate relationships, respect, and your own emotional world. These moves are not about manipulation, but about mastering yourself, your energy, your time, and your attention. When you can control how and when you invest in others, you reclaim your power. Silence, unpredictability, indifference, and emotional withdrawal, they're all pieces of a puzzle that, when combined, create a man who cannot be easily swayed or manipulated. A man who is no longer a slave to emotional outbursts or external validation, but someone who commands respect simply by being in control of his own presence. Remember, the most powerful weapon you possess is the ability to choose when to engage and when to withdraw. When you master that, you'll stop chasing and others will start chasing you. If you found value in these stoic moves, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the more you grow your inner strength, the more you'll attract those who recognize it. And as always, leave your thoughts and comments below. How do you apply stoic principles in your own life? What moves have you found to be the most powerful? Let's keep this conversation going. Thanks for watching, and remember, true power comes not from force, but from control. Keep mastering yourself.